Let's see how I did in my seasonal writing checklist. Hi, I'm Colleen. If you're new here, I talk about books and writing. Today, we're gonna go over my checklist. So I did a video in February about how I structure my writing, and that is that I take 3-month blocks and I make a checklist of everything I'd like to get done. I go into these full well knowing I'm not going to complete these checklists because they're very like pie in the sky hopeful that nothing will happen in those 3 months that would in any way hinder my writing, whether it be writer's block or a project taking much longer than I thought it would, or getting sick, or my kids getting sick, or just like stuff that happens in your life. I didn't do great for March, April, May. I actually did much worse than I thought I would. It's May 19th. I only have 12 days to get some more stuff done, and it's just not going to happen. And that's okay. I'm not mad at myself about it. I understand that things change. So let's just go ahead and go over it, and then I can talk about what I needed to do that I didn't do and what I actually did complete, which I feel good about. Okay, screen recording, split screen recording time. As you can see, I did a good job with my newsletters in March and April, and then it's May 19th and I haven't sent my newsletter out yet this month. I'm gonna send one out this week. So I'm gonna get one in May. I'm not gonna do 2. It is weird when you don't have like a ton of stuff going on, writing newsletters. You always feel a little bit like, what do you want me to talk about right now? And a lot of the stuff that I've been doing is stuff I can't really talk about because of like publishing stuff. So that's just been kind of hard. So I'll do one this week and I'll feel better about it. I also did not find a new newsletter company yet, which I need to just do, but I'm just dragging my feet on it. I need to just do it. I am dragging my feet, whatever. But the most important thing is that I did finish The Witches of Star Island #5, the first draft. And I'm really proud of myself because that was really hard for me to write. It's the last book in the series of my first traditionally published series. So I have a lot of emotions about it. And it's kind of an angsty story on top of that. So there was just a lot of inner turmoil going on with finishing that book. And I'm really glad that I was able to finish the first draft. It obviously needs a ton of work. And I didn't write the past life section left. So yeah, so if you watched the first video that I did in February, I talked about how I don't actually write the past life sections when I write the book. I did when I wrote The Hedge Witch, and that worked fine. But then when I wrote Bewitching Rosemary, I wrote a past life section, and I completely rewrote it when I was doing edits because it just didn't really fit the story how I wanted it to anymore. It's kind of an odd format how I write those books because it's really like a novella within a novel. So I do treat those past life sections now more as writing a novella separately. So I need to do that. I put this on my to-do list knowing full well I probably wasn't going to be able to write the past life in these months, mainly because I need to edit my first draft of #5 before I start the past life. And that's, a thing within itself. So I am not surprised that didn't happen. I'm hoping that I will get that done this summer. I have to get it done this summer. I have to get it done probably before July. So that's going to happen because it has to. Next, I had to do edits for Hauntings and House Witchery, and those ended up taking me so much longer than I thought they would because if you publish traditionally, you get your edits and then you have like 2 weeks to turn them around, which is usually not a problem for me. I can usually turn around edits in a week because I get like hyper-focused and that's all I work on. So I got my edits on a Monday morning, and for some reason I didn't start them that day. I think I had like maybe had like a dentist appointment or something. I can't remember, but I had a lot of stuff going on. Mondays are short days. My kids get out of school at 2:00. So they're kind of like weird days. My youngest kids get out at 2. My oldest doesn't go to school till 8:30. So if I have like stuff I have to go to the grocery store, whatever, it's like, I feel like I get nothing done that day. And then my daughter came home from school like so mad and so sick, like in the worst mood. Like, I'm so sick. I can't believe you sent me to school. I was like, all right. I thought she was just tired. Took her to the doctor the next day, and she had flu, B, and COVID. She had both. And so I had one of those moments where I was like, oh I have 2 weeks to turn around edits, and I have a patient 0 with not just COVID or the flu. She has both, and she got so sick. She was okay. But I was able to get an extension on my edits because I ended up getting so sick. I was really sick for like 2 full weeks. I didn't get COVID. I just got flu B. No one else in my family got COVID, but several of us got flu B. And so it was just a really, really rough 2 weeks where I got very little done. So that made my edits just stretch much longer. And the month of April became sort of like a wash when it came to getting any other writing done. All I could do was convalesce and try to finish my edits for Hauntings and House Witchery. And so that was just like very intense. And I'm glad it's over with. Then I wanted to send The Witches of Star Island #4 to my CP, which didn't happen because I need to read it again. And not, like, just everything got moved. I did release Aching for His Mate on March 18th, which was very exciting. And I love putting stuff like that on the checklist because it's really just like, it's all ready to go already. I had to create a ton of marketing materials for Aching for His Mate, which is all stuff that I did in the beginning of March. And so that's been done for a long time. Next, I wanted to write Wolves of Luven #6, which is going to be a novella. And so I wanted to write between 25,000 and 30,000 words because I already have like 10,000 words written. I'm going to talk about the Wolves of Luven in a minute about what happened and why that's not done. Don't worry, it's nothing horrible. Next, I wanted to write 5,000 to 10,000 words of a project I'm calling W&W, and I did not touch that project at all. And I don't know if I'm going to write it, honestly. I might get in the vibe to write it later, but right now I can't concentrate on that new idea at the moment. I had a meeting with my friends about a collection we want to release. We did have the meeting. It's most likely going to happen. I'm being bad because I haven't worked on that project yet. But I have an idea. I just need to do an outline and then need to write it. I did not look for agents at all. I'm not going to do that until I have a finished project that I'm going to query because it's just stupid for me to do it now because what if people are going to retire or switch careers and new agents are going to come on. So I'm going to stop putting that on my list. I wanted to make 1 writing video a month, at least for YouTube. I don't think I did that. I think I had maybe 1 in March and definitely 0 in April and now 1 in May. So I didn't do a good job with that. I did make my marketing plan. I did not do anything with the paperbacks for the Wolves of Luven. The indie-scape right now ain't great. There's a lot of like stuff going on as an indie publisher with the Zon, and I have to do some reevaluations in terms of what is going to happen with the Wolves of Luven since it's my self-published indie series. And that's it. And I did think a lot about this stuff. I didn't make any decisions. But depending on one place right now for sales, and it's getting super tricky with what the current climate is like in the country I live in. Okay, moving on from that, I needed to come up with a title for The Witches of Star Island 4 and approve the cover design. So I came up with a title, and I actually just got a new updated cover design in my email this morning, like 10 minutes before I started filming, that I have to like take some time to look at. But at the moment I do like it, but I need to just like really, covers are so stressful because I always fear that I'm going to miss something and then I'm going to be so mad about it. So I take a really long time with cover design to like think about it and think about it and think about it and think about it. So I'm going to do that. I added 2 things to the bottom of this that weren't on it when I made it in March. The first, and I deleted some stuff, I think. The first was Charlemagne work. I have a project that I really want to complete. That's going to take a long time. That's set in the late 700s. In Western Europe. And so it's like the time period of Charlemagne, which is why I'm calling that Charlemagne. That's the like placeholder title for this project. And I did do a lot of this. I got really inspired to work on this. And so I'll talk a little bit about that later when I'm going through my projects. But I did do that. And I wanted to run a sale for the Wolves of Luven. I did run a sale and it was actually quite successful. And I will definitely do more sales like that because it really bolstered my sales in a time when they were really low. So it helped, and I'll continue doing stuff like that. If you missed it, I'm so sorry. I did send it in my newsletter. So if you subscribe to my newsletter, you will get information whenever you need it. And as you can tell, I really don't send that many newsletters. I should really send more. Okay, so now let's break down projects and what happened and all that. So let's start with the Wolves of Luven. I'm going to show my computer now. Oh, and stop my screen recording. That would be smart. So let's start with the Wolves of Luven. Here's the thing. This is going to be a 9-book series and I am going to finish it. I might not finish it as fast as I wanted to. I will never make a 9-book series again. Just because it's hard to stay in that same world for that long for me. Which is just, they're lessons you learn. The first pen name I wrote under, I wrote a new adult fantasy romance series, and I was having the same couple for 4 books with a solitary narrator, the female main character, and I realized I cannot write 4 books in the same voice, and I am realizing I cannot write 9 books in the same world. So it's fine. I am going to finish it and I'm going to be fine. I'm just having a harder time getting motivated to write the series. So I was going to work on book 6, which is what I've been saying. This couple has been driving me crazy. So when I came up with the Wolves of Luven, I have this giant Excel spreadsheet in my computer I came up with all the characters and all their traits and the plots. I did all of this when I had only written Finding His Mate, the first one. I gently plotted out 9 books. The hard thing is, because I plotted them out such a long time ago, the series shifted a little bit. And it's been a weird thing for me to contend with. So when I wrote Finding His Mate, and to some extent Waiting for His Mate, the first 2, I was very much playing around with the idea of being like a dark romance author. I'm going to move my camera closer because I totally shifted how I'm sitting. Look at that zoom in. And that's too close. That's better. I then started working heavily on the Witches of Star Island. I had already written, I think, 2 of them before I started writing the Wolves of Luven. But I got much more into this constant feeling of like coziness, writing cozy stuff, writing like really heartwarming stuff. And that's not the series The Wolves of Luven. So it's been a little hard for me as I move on to sort of keep the theme of the Wolves of Luven, which I like to think of as like hope in a dark world and happiness in a dark world. When I did that giant outline, I had really clear ideas for books 1 through 5, book 7 and book 9. And books 6 and 8 were kind of like vibey. Like I had some vibes. Okay, this is what they're going to be like. This is what the vibe of the story is going to be. I didn't have like great big plot stuff. Like when you think about, stealing his mate. I'm going to skip Waiting for His Mate because Waiting for His Mate is the one I wrote that's like the most introspective, but I do think that the couple had so much to move past that it really was fine, that there wasn't a lot of exterior problems going on. So, you look at book 3, the big thing, these aren't spoilers, this would be in the blurb, is that Melonia doesn't want to stay in Luven and Sigma has to take her out of the city. So that's like a huge thing that happens. In book 4, Valley is not staying in Luven without her sister. She is going back to Baller to get her sister. What is Lambda going to do about that? A huge exterior. Book 5, that's like the newest one, so I'm sorry if you haven't read it yet. Iota gets horribly injured, and Demisha is in this new relationship, finding herself with a terribly injured mate. Okay. I didn't have a big thing like that for book 6. I had more of a book 2 feel, but I don't think that the stakes of their internal turmoil is high enough. So, so what I've decided this week, which kind of sucks because I have written like 10, 12, maybe 15,000 words, is that I'm going to replot that book. But because I don't want to replot it right now, I instead started working on book 7, which I also had already started writing because I'm very excited to write book 7. Book 7 has a big plot thing that happens. And I was really looking forward to writing that. And so I just started working on that one instead this month. Not thoroughly. I'm actually going to look up and see how many words I have written for it. And I had already started it, so it's not like I wrote all these words. So I have 7,275 words written. And I think I probably have only written like 1,000 new ones this month. But I am going to work on this project for the next 11 or 12 days. This book's not going to get released before book 6, but I like the idea because honestly, the series gets pushed around a lot because it's not traditionally published, so I can kind of like elbow it in where I want to. I don't want people to have to wait forever for this series to come out. So I know, since struggling with writing book 6, I know I'm going to struggle writing book 8 because it's another, like, I don't have a great plot. I need to come up with a new plot for that. I need to change the trajectory of that story as well. So I want book 7 to be like ready to go. So that between those two that are going to take really long, I have one that's like done and I can just give it to the world quickly. So that's the plan on that series. If you've been like biting your nails hoping for a new one to come out, the original plan was that I was going to release it in like December because I also have to stagger it with my Witches of Star Island releases. And now the big thing is I don't know when it's going to come out. And I'm sorry about that. I have a Witches of Star Island book coming out in April of 2026. And so I can't have a Wolves of Luven book come out in March or May. And honestly, February 1st would probably be fine if I did like the first week of February, but I don't know if I'll be able to get it out by then. I'm sorry. And I'm just sorry. That's just how it's happening right now. I feel super guilty. Yeah, so you'll get them. It's just going to take longer. I'm really sorry. I really wanted this series to finish in 2026, and it's just not going to happen. Hopefully it'll finish in 2027. I apologize profusely. Let's move on to the Witches of Star Island, which are dominating my every moment. So this season really got dominated by the Witches of Star Island, which is fine because I'm also like feeling okay about wrapping this series up. Like I'm emotional about it, but I'm also feeling kind of ready to like have it be a complete series. Okay. So I was so busy with it. Finishing book 5 was a huge accomplishment. And I feel, and I shouldn't say finishing, writing the first draft of book 5 was an enormous accomplishment. And I feel really good about it. And it was difficult. And you do have these moments when you're a writer of feeling like, am I going to be able to write this book? Especially when it's a book in a series, because you feel like, oh my God, I have to write this book. I have no choice. I have to write this book. And it's an emotional read. And hopefully you'll all cry because I love making my readers cry. But I felt a great sense of accomplishment when I finally finished that, because that first draft took me, books 4 and 5 in that series, the first drafts took me a really long time to write. And so I'm just glad that those first drafts are done because they're intense. Then I had to do all those big edits for book 3. And then I'm still doing the cover art stuff for book 4. So I've just been like really in the headspace of the Witches of Star Island at the moment. If you haven't read that series, it's like a really good witchy series to read with what's out so far in spring and summer, because the entire series takes place over 6 months. And so we start in May. So book 1 takes place in May. Book 2 takes place in June. Book 3 takes place in July, the beginning of August. Book 4 takes place in September. And book 5 takes place in October. So if you're in like a witchy mood right now in the spring, early summer, you should grab the Hedge Witch and Bewitching Rosemary because you'll be happy about it. And also Hauntings and House Witchery is coming out very soon. And right now my brain is like, what day is it coming out? And I want to say September 23rd 3rd, but I'm just gonna open my calendar because I'm feeling like I don't know what's going on. What's going on? Oh my God. I was right. It is September 23rd. Thank God. Sometimes I worry about my brain, that it's just not braining correctly sometimes. Oh, my word. Okay. The only work I have to do on The Witches of Starling for the rest of this month is finalize the cover for book 4, which I am stressed about, but we'll be okay. It'll be okay. It's going to be fine, and it's going to be beautiful. And then I can focus mostly on the Wolves of Luven for the rest of this month. But then the thing about the Witches of Star Island is they're going to be pretty dominating my work for the next year. So more than that, the last book's going to come out in fall of 2026. So until fall of 2026, my work's going to be pretty dominated by the Witches of Star Island. And I don't feel terrible about that. I feel like correct about that. So that's where we're in that. Now let's talk about another project. Lastly, I said I did Charlemagne work. And if you read The Witches of Star Island, and you know that there's like those past life sections where I write basically a small paranormal historical romance, let's not call it a romance, historical fiction novella in the middle of a paranormal romance. I really love writing historical stuff. And after I wrote Bewitching Rosemary and turned it into my editor, she wrote me the nicest message that was basically like, why don't you write historical? And which I was like, thank you so much, because my dream has always been to write historical fiction or historical fantasy. I really like historical time periods, and I've always been kind of afraid to write them, mainly because of the amount of research that goes into writing those books and the amount of time it takes to write a book that's not set in our world. It's just, when you're writing a historical setting, it's kind of like world building, but it's world building that people can fact check, which is scary to me. I have some historical fiction projects, 3 in particular, that I've done varying amounts of work on. One, I literally have like 150 pages written. And then other ones, I just have outlines. So before I started my Witches of Star Island number 3, Hauntings and House Witchery, those edits, I had thought to myself, when I finish The Witches of Star Island and The Wolves of Luven, I have some other romance series in mind that I am going to work on, but because I always like to be working on 2 things at the same time. But I think I will switch to have my secondary projects be historical fiction. And so I started playing with that idea and thinking about it. And which one do I want to work on first? I have that one that has so much done, but that one feels like such a baby to me that I feel like that might not be a great first one to do, because I think the rejection on that might sting horribly compared to rejection on other stuff, which is weird. I mean, when you have an idea that you thought of in 2009, it's really scary to put that out into the world. It just is. I mean, that idea is older than all my children and my marriage. So I just started thinking about them, about the other ones, which ones I should do first. Then I got my edits for The Witches of Star Island number 3. And I had another thing from my editor that was just so kind, that just said, I want to reiterate, you should be writing historical. Your passion for historical comes out so much in these sections of these books, and I look forward to reading them so much. And it is funny because when I get my notes, I have like 20% the amount of notes on the historical sections compared to the rest of the book. And I always think, wow, if I was writing like historical, would I get like no notes? Probably not, but it's kind of funny to look at the juxtaposition of it. So I decided I'm gonna seriously go down that path. But I can't for a while. I have to finish The Witches of Star Island and I have to finish The Wolves of Luven. But the project I want to work on first is my tentatively named Charlemagne project, which is going to involve a ton of research. So right now what I'm doing, I am creating a time period Bible, basically. I came up with, and I was going to show you this, but then I thought no, because it's so spoilery. I came up with a list of real people, settings, like ethnic groups of people, religions, like different sects of religions, different wars that are going on. And so basically whenever I feel like working on it, I pick a page, because I just wrote each of these things on the top of the page. and I do some research into it. So the first thing I do is I read the Wikipedia entry, because that is a very brief outline of a person or a place or a group of people. And then I got some books from the library, and I will then look up that person in those books. The hard thing is, when you're like me, you writing female perspective, there's not going to be a lot, which makes it easier for the fiction part of the historical fiction. But it is interesting to sort of have to wade through a bunch of information to try to find anything about these women who are going to be the main characters of this story. I am very lucky in that there is a college in my hometown, and I have found a bunch of journal articles, research articles that I want to read that are not available through a regular public library. My plan is, and I'm not going to do this yet because I want to be deeper into the project at the point when I do this, is to go to that library and beg them to use their library and print out these articles that I want. And if they say no, I am very lucky in that one of my best friends is a professor. She just lives on the other side of the country. So I can't go to her school's library, but I will ask her to copy some stuff for me then. And then I'll just have to visit her and pick everything up. So the best part about that is I have so much fun researching. I am a librarian, just not currently employed as one. And I really love research. So I'm having a good time. I've gone through craziest rabbit holes, but a few days ago, I went down a rabbit hole that solved the plot issue for me, which was so exciting. I was like, wait, this actually happened? This solves so much motivation stuff, motivations I needed for characters. This one historical thing that happened just made my life so much easier. Also, I'm learning that people were horrible people in the late 700s. Horrible people. But, people are horrible now still. So, there we go. That's all my big projects. Last time I did a how I did in the winter and what I'm doing for spring video. This isn't going to be my seasonal summer. I'm not going to put what I'm doing in the summer season in this video. One, I don't know yet. I have to take a couple days next week to kind of come up with what I'm going to do. I'll probably do a real short video about that and post it at some point in June. Summer's gonna be weird. Also, you saw this crazy checklist I had with 35 things on it. Not 35, but a lot of things on it. Do I still have it open? 23 things on it, and I didn't finish a third of it. So, and then in June, I'm gonna be out of town for 10 days, and I'm not gonna bring my computer, and I'm my kids are only going to camp for 3 weeks. And the babies, who are 7 now, are only going to camp for half days. So I'm not going to have a ton of time for writing in the summer, which is scary when I think about how much I have to get done, which means that most likely the summer is going to be dominated by the Witches of Star Island, because that's stuff that has a hard deadlines that I have to work with, unlike my other stuff that's a little more loosey-goosey. So if you hung out to the end of this video, I really appreciate it, because I know my writing videos do not get much in the terms of viewership compared to the book videos, and that's fine, but I do like making them and like organizing my thoughts for everybody. And if you are here because you're a reader, I hope you find it interesting. If you're here just because you think the sound of my voice is interesting, I hope you liked listening to me talk while you did your dishes or folded your laundry. And as always, I hope you're in the middle of a good book, about to start reading a good book, and about to start writing a great book. I am in the middle of 2 books right now, The Mistress of Rome by Kate Quinn and Home of the American Circus, and I can't remember who the author is. Either way, I'll see you soon.